Shit, 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 fuck, fuck. Shit, 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 fuck. Shit, 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 fuck, fuck, 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 fuck. It's funny. I thought nightmares were supposed to be about Krueger. Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Shado, the internet personality with the best hair, and welcome back to
The Summer of Freddy vs. Jason!
So it could have gone better. Reviewing the 6th movie of the summer, and still only the 3rd in the Nightmare on Elm Street series, Dream Warriors. Which brings creative control back to Wes Craven, who didn't come back for the 2nd film as he felt there was no room for sequels in A Nightmare on Elm Street. After Freddy's Revenge made a crap ton of money, proving people were very willing to see more of the story, he decided to come back around for the 3rd installment. With Craven at the helm, though, the story diverged quite a lot from the tone in Freddy's Revenge, and was a hell of a lot closer to the original A Nightmare on Elm Street. Who would have guessed? This time, the nightmares take place not on Elm Street itself, but a juvenile asylum. The patients are all the last surviving children of the families from Elm Street who tracked down and burnt Krueger alive. It is here, surrounded by padded walls and less than helpful staff, they face the dreaded night terror, isolated and vulnerable. Also, Nancy's back, even though she's dead. Or, she died, but she didn't die because she's not dead. I better cover this fast. A Nightmare on Elm Street ended with Freddy getting Nancy and her friends and killing them all, relatively conclusively. We don't see her body, but she's objectively fucked. In Freddy's Revenge, they say she went batshit crazy and disappeared, but don't out and out say she's a corpse. In Dream Warriors, though, it turns out she lived, didn't go crazy, went to college and became a doctor of psychology or the like, and is back for another movie. As far as I can tell, Wes didn't want her to die in the original, so she didn't. So, let's take a look at A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, and see if he ever gets around to, satisfying me as to why the hell that happened, how it's possible. What? The movie opens with a papier-mâché arts and crafts session performed by Kristen, played by Patricia Arquette. Her artistic pursuits call for some instant coffee straight from the can, washed down with a Diet Coke. And I'm surprised she can still hold her hand steady after that. She won't have to for long. Her mother comes home, barging in to tell her to turn down that damn racket.
Hello, Mom. Don't hi, Mommy. What are you still doing up? It's past 1.
Just thought I'd wait for you.
Is that Pokemon Go in your hand? No. Yes. Now that her mother's here, it's time to go right to bed. Despite her over-the-counter cocktail of Red Bull and crack, she has no difficulty falling right asleep. However, the dream world is where the difficulty truly starts, as she finds that weird house she's been toiling away at standing before her, surrounded by phantom children.
Hi, what's your name?
Kirsten?
Kirsten? Your mother called you Kristen.
Kristen, don't start with me. You know what your shrink said.
He's full of it.
Kirsten, whoever this girl is, she's most likely going to die, considering she's a blonde in the opening of a horror movie. Also, dreaming, having a nightmare, this being the Elm Street franchise, these things add up. Ah, here we go. Hi. Krueger? Anytime now. You're losing your touch, man. Kristen doesn't have to take this lying down, though. She can get up and go to the bathroom. Where she will be subjected to even worse treatment. Finally! Turns out she's still dreaming and therefore still plenty vulnerable to Krueger using everything on her, including the kitchen sink. Or bathroom sink.
Kristen!
Now, there's a lot of jokes I could make here, but a lot of them are pretty tasteless, so which one's the most tasteless? Not too surprisingly, this transitions over to Weston Hill's Psychiatric Hospital, where we get to introduce an ass-ton more characters. Dr. Neil Gordon, played by Craig Wasson, the orderly Max, played by a younger, slimmer Lawrence Fishburne, Taryn, played by Jennifer Rubin, Jennifer, played by Penelope Sundro, Kincaid, played by Ken Sagos, and last but not least, Dr. Bitch, played by Priscilla Pointer. Sweet holy fuck, what the hell was this? A hallway of character introduction? Truth be told, her character's supposed to be Dr. Elizabeth Sims, but I just like to think of her as Dr. Bitch. Not that she is out-and-out malevolent, she means well, it's just she also is convinced that she knows better than anyone about what's good for them, even if it probably will kill them. Like Kristen over here, who is not exactly thrilled with their decision to sedate her so she can get some sleep. Help is on the way, though.
Never sleep again.
Nancy Thompson, back from the dead to avenge Craven's dream of a happy ending for A Nightmare on Elm Street. Again played by Heather Langenkamp, she quickly calms Kristen down from her homicidal rage, helping her earn the trust of Dr. Gordon. It would appear that Nancy is now an intern working at this facility, and telling Neil she has experience working with cases of nightmares helps him decide she'd be a good person to keep around.
Let me help you.
But geez, you'd think a doctor would know a thing or two about patient confidentiality. He doesn't pry any further into her personal life, though, allowing her to leave shortly before he spots a mysterious nun. A disappearing nun! But moving on, it seems that Lawrence Fishburne has taken the reins of the $5 tour, introducing even more characters.
This is Phillip. We call him the Walker.
Why is that?
Because he helps old ladies to cross the street! Or because he sleepwalks, and this asylum isn't the most creative when it comes to nicknames. Phillip is played by Bradley Gregg, and he shares a room with Kincaid, who we met earlier. They also pass by Joey, played by Rodney Eastman. He's a mute, and judging by his teardrop prison tattoo, fucking killed somebody. That doesn't sound like it requires explanation, so let's move on to Nancy doing her best as an intern at the hospital by interrogating Christie's mother about the nightmare she's been having. Unsurprisingly, her parent is completely useless, so instead Nancy goes to investigate the kid's bedroom, discovering her art project from the opening, which looks like Nancy's old house. And at the same time, Christie is falling asleep and winding up in the dream home as well. This means it's time for some terror. Or Tremors. Krueger was cosplaying as a graboid before it was cool. Okay, am I supposed to be aroused by this? Can't be for all that long as suddenly Kristen calls out for Nancy to help her, and she falls through a chair, going through a window and stabbing the monster to save the day. The very specific monster.
Oh my god.
Nancy, now is not the time to start having Troll 2 flashbacks. Rather, she realizes it's Freddy and tells Kristen that now would be a good time to wake up, so they do. This allows her to bring the macabre miniature into the hospital and have a chat with Kristen while they're awake. It turns out that the kid simply has this ability to pull other people into her dreams, and she used to bring her father into them to save her from nightmares, up until her parents got divorced at least. So she never tried again, up until Nancy showed up, and then she figured, hey, this is a good way to introduce this to the storyline and get the plot moving forward. It is the hook of the movie, after all. I don't know why she never tried with her father again. Unless, I don't know, did legal papers stop it from working? Did Krueger have a cousin who was a lawyer or something? Before we can progress any further in the plot, though, there is one more character to introduce. So let's get fucking everybody together to celebrate this momentous occasion. Or play like we're just now getting Nancy to meet them all. Introducing Will, played by Ira Hayden. This also showcases some character traits, where Kincaid's argumentative, Taryn's apathetic, and Phillip is a movie critic.
The fact that we all dreamt about this guy before we ever met doesn't seem to impress anybody.
It does sound like something the doctors really should have noticed ahead of time. Kid, I think you and I are going to get along just fine. Dr. Bitch, however, knows better than all of them, because her degree says so.
You won't make any progress until you recognize your dreams for what they are. Psychological scars stemming from moral conflicts and overt sexuality.
Oh, great. Now it's my dick that's killing me.
Wait, that was your dick in Kristen's dream? So even when they're trying to help, the adults are completely fucking useless. This means the kids have to rely on each other, as Will instructs Joey to keep watch tonight, and wake him up if it looks like he's having a nightmare. Also, Joey's tattoo is gone, so I guess the guy he murdered got better. At least Nancy's on their side, though, and suggests something that might actually help, putting them all on the same drug she's got to prevent them from dreaming in the first place.
You want me to prescribe an experimental psychoactive drug to a bunch of suicidal teenagers?
Be honest with me, Neil. Who doesn't? Seems he doesn't want to, citing that dreaming is too important and it's too risky and all that, so it looks like the only way the plot's going to move forward is if another one of the kids is hardly killed. And we get some pretty high claymation to boot. Interesting to note, that was actually produced backwards, starting with a high detail Kruger figure and then adding layers and removing detail as they went along. Because that is a fuck ton easier to pull off than actually trying to slowly carve out a detailed figure over the course of hours or days, frame by frame. Also, wouldn't you know it, Kruger's going after the kid who doesn't have someone watching over him, making it far easier for him to take control of the situation. Oh god, that feels weird. Kruger, could you just slice him up? I can stomach that. But what's this? Kincaid does notice! Problem is he really doesn't care, considering Phillip's a sleepwalker anyway, and goes back to bed. This means Kruger can lead the kid outside his room, down the hall, and into the restricted areas. Could we get a real-world shot of that? This leads Phillip out to a high window over the parking lot, but Joey notices the teen in trouble. Since he can't talk and explain what's going on, he just fucks up the receptionist's lunch break to cause as much noise as possible, allowing everyone to gather around and at least see the guy get killed. Now, come on, Freddy. At that size, it would have been far more impressive if he just went bing! The doctors figured the best way to deal with this is to hold another group session. Of course, that doesn't mean they actually have to listen to the kids very clearly explaining it's a man in their nightmare straight up murdering them. They just say he committed suicide.
How much longer are you going to go on blaming your dreams for your own weakness?
Later, how much longer you gonna keep blowing smoke up our ass?
Not long enough to keep the body count going. With that in mind, she declares they will now undergo mandatory sedation before bed, which obviously doesn't make Kincaid very happy. So they ignore his concerns and drag his ass over to the quiet room again. This gives Neil a chance to talk with Dr. Bitch about maybe going for that experimental drug to stop the dreams, because it's not like they can do much worse. Reluctantly, she agrees, but it doesn't really matter because that night, Jennifer convinces Lawrence Fishburne to let her stay in the TV room and just stay awake. This obviously doesn't go according to plan, as what she has to keep her alert is the Dick Cavett show.
Can I ask you something?
Certainly.
Who gives a fuck what you think?
Of course, right when it gets good. I probably don't even have to explain what's going on here because this particular kill is regarded as one of the best in the series and has quite possibly the most memorable Freddy Krueger line of them all.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Which was only half scripted. Welcome to Prime Time, Bitch was ad-libbed by Robert Englund. They must have cared a hell of a lot more for Jennifer, though, considering she gets a funeral. I guess they just left Phillip in the parking lot. Either way, Neil doesn't care too much because the strange nun he saw earlier is poking around.
I've seen you before, Sister...
Mary Helena.
Played by Nan Martin, who started her career in 1952 on an episode of Schlitz Playhouse of Stars titled I Want to Be a Movie Star. Well, I guess it worked. Here she offers advice to the doctor in a foreboding and confusing enough way that when Nancy comes over, she can Batman her way out of the scene. No idea where she could be hiding in this field full of waist-high stones. No bother, now that Nancy is here, she can take advantage of Neil's desperation and convince him to allow her to conduct a private group session and really get this movie's plot moving.
I know who's trying to kill you.
Don't humor us. We're not in the mood.
He wears a dirty brown hat.
There are slightly more specific, unique features you could have brought up instead. Like this. She does get around to it, but it's still interesting to me how many kids are impressed by her description of the terror in the fedora. Nevertheless, she goes on to point out that there are awesome things called dream powers, and people get them. But the rules are you only get 1 or 2. Really don't know why it's so specific, but that's how it works. Kristen's ability is the power of the group invite, and with that in mind, Nancy instructs Neil to begin a hypnotherapeutic session to get them all to fall asleep, allowing them to hold dream group and discover their powers.
Sorry. That's okay, we'll try again.
But it seems Dr. Gordon's dream power is failure and disappointment. Ah well, Joey's still gonna get something out of this, as the hot nurse babe is going by, so fuck group, it's time for some fucking. This means group must continue without him.
Neil, let's just try one more time. If it doesn't work, I promise I'll...
Except, surprise! They're already in the dream world! It just so happens that they all seem to have incredibly mundane dreams. Realizing this, they start showing off their amazing dream powers, like walking. Oh, and magic. Magic's pretty impressive. Kristen also is blessed with the powers of parkour, and Kincaid has the property damage skill. Taryn, though?
In my dreams, I'm beautiful. And bad.
She is blessed with the spirit of the 80s. This just leaves Joey, who has the power of fuckery. I think. He's not really in the group exploring his abilities, but who cares? Sexy time! You know, honestly, that's not a deal breaker. Imagine the head. However, transforming into Kruger does kind of spoil the mood, resulting in Joey being trapped. Yeah, just trapped. Kirk is kind of indecisive about these things at times. Either way, he's being held hostage over a fire right before the rest of the group is suddenly attacked by the walls. Now that I think about it, they really should have a lookout staying awake in case this happened. In their current position, they're pretty much fucked, and just waiting for Kruger to arrive and kill them all.
The door!
What's going on in here?
I'm not sure if that's better or worse than running into Kruger. This does save their lives, but it seems that Joey has wound up in a coma, and Dr. Bitch is sure that it's that weird experimental drug to blame, even though they haven't had the chance to take it yet, and said drug suppresses dreams, so, yeah. Either way, both Nancy and Neil are told to pack their shit and GTFO, while Dr. Bitch returns to the ignore everyone and wait for them to die treatment. Thing is, while placing his life and accomplishments in his trunk, Neil spots the nun from earlier and rushes up to find out what's going on. The tower she's in is an unused section of the psychiatric hospital, and as the story goes, it used to hold the criminally insane. Thing is, there was a caretaker who was besieged by the inmates and repeatedly raped by them. And the story only gets worse.
That girl was Amanda Kruger. Her child, Freddy. The bastard son of 100 maniacs.
That's not how genetics work. Sperm from other people doesn't just do a fusion dance in the womb. And otherwise, those episodes of Mario would have been a hell of a lot more interesting. Science might not be her strong suit, but you can probably trust a nun on supernatural topics, and to that end, she says the only way to defeat Kruger for good is to find his bones and bury them in hollowed ground. Neil has no idea where they are, so he asks Nancy. She has no idea where they are, but lest we forget her father, Don, played by John Saxon, was one of the angry mob who murdered Kruger all those years ago. With that in mind, they track him down and find that he's been hard at work making sure he can't remember shit, which won't make this task easy. Since being nice and helping his daughter doesn't convince him, Neil sees how well roughing up a drunk man with a gun might work.
You and I are going on a little scavenger hunt.
Tiny umbrellas, salt, lime, tequila, and a yukata. Rather, he needs not only to find the bones of Freddy Krueger, but also the ingredients needed to bless the earth where he will be buried. With that in mind, he pours out Donald's liquor bottle, only mildly spiking the holy water which he collects, right before he steals across.
What do you think you're doing?
I'm just stealing your religious icons after performing a sacrilege on your holy water. Don't worry, I won't covet my neighbor's ass until at least tomorrow. You can count on me. He gives him his ID and says it's cool, he's just gonna borrow it for a while. Nancy, though, is back at the hospital despite the orders to leave. It seems Christy has been sedated, and Nancy believes she's in trouble. Problem is, Max here was ordered to not allow her to pass, so it's time for Plan B.
Can I say goodbye to the others?
I don't know.
It'll be my last chance.
Okay, you got 5 minutes. They're in the TV room.
Should they really call it the TV room anymore? And the TV's not there. Maybe the burnt stench of corpse room? It doesn't really roll off the tongue so well. While Max is very strict on following orders, he's not so keen on making sure Nancy doesn't just waltz around the whole damn hospital, allowing her to collect the remaining children and bring them to the group room. Knowing Kristen's in trouble, but entering the dream world may kill them, she asks, will they do it? Will they heed the call and face off against Freddy one last time?
Let's go kick the motherfucker's ass all over Dreamland.
Yeah!
Remember, you have to stay together whatever happens.
How long until they all get separated? And I have no idea how the hell it even happened. They just entered the dream world, they were all in the quiet room with Kristen, and then Kruger attacked the walls and poof! They're in different areas now. I guess Kruger's dream power is being an asshole. As such, we teleport back to the opening of the movie, with a good 20 minutes left to go, so it's obvious that things aren't over just yet.
I said, where's the fucking bourbon?
You should listen to your mother.
Some are confused here because evidently Kristen's mother is alive in later movies. Thing is, she wasn't sleeping, so yeah. I mean, do you really think that Kruger actually killed Shasha Gabor? Kristen uses her super parkour powers to escape Kruger's wrath and winds up back in the dark house. Then we teleport over to Taryn, who actually doesn't do all that bad in knife fighting with the Spectre, except, of course, for the fact that he knows her weakness.
Let's get high.
No, not the drugs, the general horror movie stupidity. Even though she has clearly demonstrated that she knows how to fight and does it well, she's gonna, stand there and let him kill her. This brings us to the dark hallway where Kruger is tormenting Will with the wheelchair of torture. However, he is the Wizard King and can defeat Kruger with his powerful magic.
I don't believe in fairy tales.
What the fuck are you doing? You're a wizard. Stay the hell out of melee range. So that's 2 down, but back in the dark house, Kristen finally runs back into Nancy. And then...
Yo, I thought I heard voices.
Jeez, man, I had enough of a Kool-Aid Man vibe out of that without the red undershirt. Nancy wants to find the others, obviously not realizing they're fucking dead, but Kincaid just wants to get this movie over with and challenges Kruger directly, which brings them to a door floating in midair. This leads them down to a hellish chamber where Kruger has been holding Joey. Things don't look promising, but utilizing their dream powers, they work together, Captain Planet style, to swoop down and save him in the nick of time. The problem is there's still a Kruger to deal with, and he's a hell of a lot stronger than Nancy remembers.
Souls of the children. Give me strength.
Meaning he is unstoppable and will kill them one by one. Huh, yeah, that's right. Real-world events are going on at the same time, though. Neil and Donald have tracked down Kruger's bones in the old junkyard and are working on digging him a grave. Thing is, Kruger's got strong enough that he can frickin' animate his remains. Or stop motion animate anyway. Looking somewhere between Jason and the Argonauts and motherfucking Terminator as he takes the 2 men on, killing Nancy's father and knocking Neil out. But he doesn't finish Dr. Gordon off. That would be smart. Or, maybe he just didn't have enough strength to keep animating his bones any longer than that? Nah, it's just climax villain stupidity. This means Kruger is back in the dream world with all those kids who haven't bothered waking up yet. Maybe they're still searching for the others, but with Kruger back, everyone is pulled through the looking glass. Except for Joey, who has something to say about this. Revealing his dream power. Talking. You could have gone with, flight? Turning into a dragon? Doing your finals naked? Something more dreamlike. At this point, Nancy's father materializes in the dream world to let her know he's crossed over, and this is their last chance to see one another. Ah, fuck it, he's Freddy Krueger and just once are dead, so that's one more soul for the road. However, Neil wakes up and quickly dumps Kruger's remains into the grave and liberally applies holy water to the site, which doesn't sit so well with the Monster Man, surprisingly enough. Therefore, happy ending! Ish. Nancy's fucking dead. Most of the kids are dead. We go to her funeral to remind us she's dead. Then we find out that none is dead. In fact, she was Kruger's mother. Whew, that was a hell of a lot going on. And then again, every movie's going to feel complicated after Friday the 13th Part 3. But anyway, that was A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. And it was a hell of a return to form for the series. Now, there wasn't much of a departure anyway, considering the series consisted of only 2 movies so far, but still, having Wes Craven back writing made a hell of a difference, and left this one feeling much closer in tone to the original. With that in mind, one must ask how well it stacks up against the original, and I'd say it did so very well. The characters are pretty well fleshed out, and while they used recognizable tropes at times, they didn't rely on them. Each persona had their own unique behaviors and desires, and they play off each other believably. Even the setting helps make the whole thing feel a lot more convincing than the original. Yes, in both we have children in danger and adults who are unwilling to help or incompetent, but in the first movie it was their parents. Yes, some are absent, but seriously, all the Elm Street families had bad parents. This time around, it's the doctors who insist on doing things by the book, and are trying to help but are going about it the wrong way. Dream Warriors helps expand the setting, expand the lore, and continue the story without many snags at all. Except Nancy being killed, but then being alive and then killed, but fuck it, I've already said my piece on that. I'm going to take this movie as its own individual work. Nancy's character works slightly better. It's still flawed, but not so much as to warrant going below 5 bethonged nurses out of 5. What? I like nurses and thongs. I told you the lick-a-tongue bondage wasn't a deal breaker. Well, thank you all for watching. I've been Decker Shado. And remember, if kids keep dying in your care, so you switch things up, and they're still dying, maybe you should try some different career options.
Oh, great. Now it's my dick that's killing me.